free as a bird. Hello again. We got these Avenger posters in here to kind of date the video, like Endgame's coming out this month, and it's the Avengers. You know, they broke up. You mean like the Beatles? You know. Okay, so here let's start with the sheet book music. Now these came out around the time when the Beatles would come out with a new album. You could go down to your music store and pick up sheet music that goes with the album. You know, it's got the words and it's got the chords, and as far as I knew, I mean, these were the new Beatles album. Little did I know that on the other side of the planet, the Beatles were coming out with albums that didn't even look like this. But I didn't learn that until it was probably around '67. My friends' older sisters, I've talked about them before. They're the ones that gave me, you know, old used Beatle records and give me what's coming out, what's going on. And they're the ones that told me that, hey, Sgt. Pepper is going to be just like it is released in England. I well, duh. They go, no. Then they explained to me how these albums were not released in England. That's a whole other story. But anyway, this is the sheet music books that you could get. Plus, it had little pictures in there of the Fabs. So it's they're nice. They're very nice. Okay, so we're going to try to finish off this room today. And a lot of this stuff I did before when you weren't here. I kind of, we went over the Beatles book monthly. I talked about those, and I can't say enough good things about that. There's a box of licorice. It's very stale. And
like a Beatles box of licorice?
Yeah, licorice, yeah.
All right.
Nummy. And here we have, these are steel sealed in shrink wrap, the Frank Frazetta cards. 2 boxes, both sets. They're awesome. Here we have the music boxes. Now, I'm going to spend a few minutes now. I didn't talk about these last time. These are the cards. These are the 6 different packs, the different covers. But the reason I want to talk about these is on the back of the cards, there was little snippets written by Derek Taylor. And Derek Taylor was kind of in charge of the 90s. They got him back on board. This is one of the first projects that he came out with, was the cards, and then they followed that with Live at the BBC, and then they did the Anthology Project, and then after that, he was writing a book. I mean, that's mostly what he was. He was a writer. Actually, let me tell you about Derek. In 1963, he worked for the newspapers. He was kind of the music section. And they sent him to see the Beatles, these upcomers, and they were with Roy Orbison. So he went to the show, and they kind of wanted him to write this, slam these guys. But he was gobsmacked. It was like the second coming. He could just tell these guys are it. So he wrote a glowing review, and the Beatles liked it, Brian liked it, and before long, they had signed him on as their press officer. So he was a press officer for the '64 tour. And by the end of the tour, him and Brian had a little bit of falling out, so he left the Beatles. But he went to California. And in California, he became the PR man for the Byrds, promoted them as America's version of the Beatles, Mamas and the Papas, the Beach Boys, who he promoted Brian Wilson as a genius, and Paul Revere and the Raiders, who happen to be some of my favorites, and I think they've been underrated. I like Paul Revere and the Raiders.
They're a good
kind
band.
of a local
They're a good band.
too,
Yeah.
from Portland.
Yeah.
Anyway, during this time, he helped organize the Monterey Pop Festival. And he asked all these different people to, we need some suggestions for new talent. Who can you suggest for our concert that's coming up? And the Beatles' entry was Jimi Hendrix. And the rest is history.
Wow.
So Derek was very influential in the Beatles. He was very close to George and John, and as a matter of fact, George even called him the 5th Beatle.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I didn't know that.
They were that close. I mean, he was a writer. He was like a poet. He's like Shakespeare in the Alley. He was. Unfortunately, he passed away in the late '90s when they were just getting ready to gear up for this whole massive yellow submarine thing. Anyway,
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's more too. I'll cut it short. I love this poster. Paul is Live. It's one of my favorite concert posters. I've seen him twice. I saw him, I saw him with you just not long ago.
Not too long ago,
And then I went and saw him with Wings at the Kingdom in Seattle. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen. I'm not kidding. It was just freaking great. So keep on rocking, Paul. The only thing I can say is he's got to stop doing it in the road because he's going to get run over, you know?
Yeah.
Stop, you know. Now, these are comics from, more comics. We got lots of these. The Beatles were my downfall. I can imagine, I wonder if there's a lot of ladies out there my age now who haven't told their husbands about the summer of '66. I was at a Beatles concert in Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
And I got to meet Paul. And
the rest is history.
mum's the word.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so here, now this is, here we go. This is part of our virgin vinyl still in shrink wrap collection. We already went through that.
We did, yeah.
And I love this, one of my favorite collections. But the reason I got this up for display is that I remember Nicole said she liked the poster we have of this. And so I just thought, you know what?
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. I think I'll put it up for display.
And that was the original White Album, right?
This was the original cover
for
the White Album, and it was going to be called A Doll's House. Is the glare?
Oh, I'm just, sorry.
Man, anyway, that's okay. All right, what do we got here? Oh, Yesterday. This is all sheet music of the Beatles. And this is soon to be a major motion picture at the theaters coming this summer. And it looks like it's going to be really good. It's like, you know, remember Vincent Price in The Last Man on Earth?
Yeah.
Well, this time around, he's the only one that remembers the Beatles music. And what do you do? You got to share it. You got to share it with the world. Yeah. And here's another sheet music. This is all older stuff. But you can see. Do you want to know a secret? Please, please me. Back from the early years. This is When I'm 64. There I am. Oh, to be 64 again. Those were the days. And here's Taylor. The Rolling Stone did a thing on her top 125 songs. Why Reputation is her boldest album yet. You know, recently I saw her. She was dressed up in a Stella McCartney gown. She bought a dress for some kind. She looked like one of the royals. She was very nice. So she knows how to dress. And nothing to get hung about. One of the best. Yeah, bye bye. Okay, another old one. Can't buy me. All right, and for maybe you, I'll sing them all. Look out. Okay, Revolver. This is another sheet music book. That's nice photos. Hey Jude and Hard Day's Night. She loves you. Here's from the I used to watch that just so I could learn the words. There's some more of the sheet music. Now this is a pretty recent Harper's Bazaar, and Taylor interviews Patty Boyd, and Patty shares with her how she was the influence for Eric to write Layla and Wonderful Tonight, and of course George is Something. So she was a beauty. She was the face that launched 1,000 ships. Lucky lady. Please, please me. I want to hold your hand. Here's Taylor on Time. Okay, and now here's another virgin vinyl. This isn't a paste over. This is just printed. This is one of the later ones. But I remember the story I told you about this. I couldn't find this anywhere in town. Nobody sold it because it was a 2-album set. It was pretty spendy. But I finally got it through the record club. I think that was the summer of '65. And sound quality is really good. All right, here is My Brother from Another Mother. Oh, and Frankenstein. I thank you so much. You bought me another Frankenstein because I was missing pieces, and you got that for me so I could rebuild Frankenstein. It's alive!
Yeah.
And Lunchbox and Peter Cushing. And speaking of Peter Cushing, here he is. Boy, they did a good job on this. That looks so much like Peter Cushing.
I know.
Wow. Now, back there is one of the Aurora models. Now, I had them all, and I entered them in a contest. And they're all up in the attic now in an old steamer trunk. But I won third place, and I got an award, and I still have it. It's in the Beatles room. Someday we'll get there. But very cool.
Is that your original one from when you're...
Well, actually, no. That's a replacement. I actually melted my original one.
Oh, that's right.
I put him in a chair and chained him up, and yeah. So I had to get... But that back there is a box that they released. I think it's through Toys R Us. So that's a brand... It's a reprint, and it's still in shrink wrap. It's the original molds. So, yep. Now, here are my guys with Stan Lee. And I can't thank you enough for getting Stan to sign our Beatles Marvel Beatles book. That is so cool. It means even more now than it did. And I thank you again.
Oh, yeah.
That's very, very nice. There he is now, Frankenstein. The Return of Frankenstein. And this is an original nipper. This is from like 1920. And it still has Victor on the side. That's when he originally belonged to Victor before they sold him to RCA. And that's a really nice story. You could check that story out. Okay, so we're finally to the china cabinet. This china cabinet is like from 1860, around the time of the Civil War. But it's been refurbished. It's got glass shelves and lights, and it's just full of stuff. So where shall I begin?
Well, you want to start at the top and go down? Or
Yeah, let's start at the top shelf, I guess. Well, would you like to hear this cool story of the wedding album?
Yeah, let's hear about that.
Ooh, this is a nice one. This is an original from 1969, unopened, still in shrink wrap. And there's a story here that I got it covered up with this stuff. But this actually belonged to John. This album belonged to John Lennon. And how that came about is that after the sales, they return them all to the record company, and they'll punch a hole in them and sell them on the dollar rack. And he didn't want that. So he bought them all, put them in storage. And there they sit. And so years later, the Lennon estate went ahead and cleared them out. And that's how I got it. So that's kind of cool. It belonged to John. And this is an 8-track cartridge. That's what's funny about it. We had the LP too, but 8-track cartridge. I had a whole bunch of 8-track cartridges in the early 70s, mostly for my car. I had a Mustang. And the only one I can remember playing is Led Zeppelin 2. I wore that one out. And where they all went, I don't know. They disappeared in time. So anyway, on with the show. Okay, now this is one of the very early merchandise items from the Beatles. It's a lampshade. I was going to say it was a hat, but no, it's a lampshade. You can wear it as a hat if you want.
Kind of does look like a fez.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, those are hard to get. People just don't want to let those go. And here's Frankenstein that you got me. I hope it still lights up. Uh-oh. Start an avalanche here. Shit starts falling away. Oh my God! Oh no! Oh, hey, here's Tinkerbell. Kinky. I'll have to mess with her later. Where's the switch? There it is. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, it lights up.
It lights up.
Yeah, that's cool.
How cool is that? Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'll put you back together later. Oh, this, I haven't seen this in a while. This is an actual original Yellow Submarine card. That's John Lennon as Frankenstein. Right.
Really?
After that he goes, green turns into John. That's why I got it.
That's pretty cool.
Another Frankenstein related thing. Okay, now these are these are my toy soldiers that I had in I guess it was Christmas. I think it was '61, but it came in a huge box and it was just had like hundreds of stuff in it. This is a reprint of the cover of the box. It shows you how cool it was, an award-winning box. So I spent a lot of time with these guys. Okay, so let's go over to this part I destroyed. Let's see. Oh, let's talk about this is the transistor radio from that Beatles' first visit to America. And it's one that Paul was listening to, and they were listening to Murray the K. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
I showed you that album. Yeah. We have Murray the K's album that he signed. We have his autograph on Murray the K. And when you turn this radio on, it plays "She Loves You."
That's cool.
Do 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 do. Just kidding you.
Oh.
Okay, no, it's just an old transistor radio. Okay, then we got the lunchbox and bobblehead, and there's a model of Polly still in the box. This is the first postcard that they came out with. That's original. A little heavy on the makeup. Look at John. He's scary looking. And this here is their actual first 45 that they released in the UK on Parlophone, Red Label, Love Me Do. And supposedly, Brian bought like hundreds and hundreds of copies to help boost the sales to make it look like it was a bigger hit.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so maybe that's one of them. I don't know. Shampoo! Now this is an original first edition from the UK, and it has the introduction by Paul.
Well, my own right.
Yeah, all right. And now we have both versions of the harmonica. We have the 2 rivet and the 4 rivet, and the 2 boxes. This is the orange box, and here's the white box. And they got the names screwed up on all of them. You know, if you see one Beatle, you see them all. So, anything you want to ask me about?
No, I think
it's
pretty cool.
Oh, we got a first edition of the Beatles Book Monthly. Can't say enough about that. Quit slobbering, Steve. Calm down. Steve Tube. All right, I come down here. These are the toy soldiers I was talking about. I had to set them up, but it came with a record, and it's Lincoln giving the Gettysburg Address. So you know, it was educational too. I don't think it was really Lincoln.
Well, I was going to say it was an educator. Of course not, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's cool. And here's one of your dollars.
Yeah.
All right, then down here there's some more, but down at the bottom, can you get down here? It's kind of dark.
It's a little bit dark.
This is a Paul McCartney Halloween mask from '64, and those are hard to come by too. Those are kind of rare, and of course the baubles, the bobbleheads. Yeah. Now back there, that's the first edition of A Cellar Full of Noise that came out in the UK. That's the first. Below it's the first edition came out in America, and the co-author on that was Derek Taylor. Yeah. So, what do you think? Did we have we covered this room?
I think so.
Are we about done with here?
It's yeah.
Hey, better call Saul. You know, if you're a criminal,
Better call Saul.
better get a criminal lawyer.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna get a criminal lawyer. Yeah.
Okay then.
Got some cool stuff.
Until again, we meet again. See ya.